Describe the feeling of flying. What's it like?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question because there's the feeling itself, and then there's the anticipation of flying. I would say the actual feeling itself of being airborne and the feeling of being in command of the situation are quite different. So the common denominator is that you're both flying. Uh, but I would say the thrill of being at the controls, uh, probably takeoff and landing is probably the most exciting for everybody, including the pilots.
Yeah.
That's something that we still can very easily slip into that 12-year-old promise that we made to our childhood that we want to see this through, and we re-experience that every time. Now, obviously, it's more sophisticated in the sense that there's a lot of things going on, but the thrill of flying is boy, it's hard to explain how you can compare it to anything else. Realizing that we're one of the first few generations that got to experience this thrill. Most generations prior to us only dreamt about, and here we are, not only experiencing it but almost taking it for granted. And that's a good thing for passengers because you should take it for granted. You should feel just as much at home in your living room as you do at 36,000 feet on a commercial flight. And you hear a lot of statistics saying, well, it's safer than driving and blah. That's absolutely true. There are some people who they experience a bad turbulence situation and realizing that that's a fear product for them, and that's completely understandable because just like flying, fear is a very real feeling, and the fear of overcoming flying and the the exuberance of experiencing flying is probably not far off. It's just that do we enjoy the roller coaster ride or do we fear the roller coaster ride? Uh, in both situations, you're safe.
So it's
Much.
funny,
Go ahead.
funny that you said to compare it. So I've got a bunch of questions I thought to ask you.
Mm,
I actually came up with a comparison just for you.
good. Good.
How does your first solo flight ever compare to your most recent flight that when you were in control? I'm not talking about
Hmm.
you as a passenger. I'm sure you've flown.
Yeah.
How do
I'll,
those two compare?
I'll say this because I've said it to many people. So presently, I've got north of 35,000 hours in the year. Um, if I look back on all 35,000 hours, I could probably come up with about 12 minutes worth of, I recall, and three of those 12 minutes was my first solo.
True.
I
Okay.
can
Very true. Yeah.
remember every
Yeah.
second, every breath of that short flight, because you don't. It's basically your mother saying, yeah, you can drive your bicycle without the training wheels, but you just go up the driveway and down and drive. That's basically what your first solo flight is. You just
Yeah.
take off, come back, and land, and you're done. And that's enough to
Check the
say,
box.
yeah, that's it. So that doesn't compare to any other flight you've had. That's the first 3 minutes that you'll always remember.
Pretty cool. I
Yeah.
think I knew the story. Did your mom go with you for your first flight?
So she was my first passenger.
First passenger.
Right. So the first solo is when your instructor walks out. This is when your dad takes the training wheels off the bicycle.
Yep. Says good luck.
It's good luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are solo. It is man and
Just you.
machine, and you're out there on your own. So you're up there with the Eagles and looking down at everything else, and the only way to get this thing back on the ground is you. I made a promise to myself. Been surrounded by strong women my entire life. My mother, my wife, my daughters, and I thought it was important at the time that when I got my license, this is the first opportunity you have as a pilot to bring someone else up. Yeah, there was a list of people I wanted to get up there, but the first one was my mom, and I was hoping that she would be more recent. She's still around. She's still
Of
with us.
course. Yeah.
I'm here in New York, and she's in Italy.
Yeah. As we record. Yeah. It's crazy. Um, I was thinking, how old were you when you started flying?
Yeah. So 16 is when I started flying. and I soloed when I was 16.
Yeah, pretty quick.
It was, and it was. I'll tell you just a little bit before then. We were in Pennsylvania in the Poconos vacationing. I was about 12 years old. 12 years old, and my mom and dad wanted to take us out to the glider port and go for a ride in a glider. And the way a glider gets up is that it has a tow plane, and the tow plane brings the glider up, disconnects the cord, the glider goes off, and the tow plane comes back down and gets the circuit started for the next glider ride. And I'm watching this as we're waiting in line, and people are getting in and people are coming down. But I'm watching this Stearman, which is a beautiful World War II trainer that is still around today. But it's a bi-wing open cockpit, goggles, leather helmet, and this tow plane brings the glider up and just corkscrews back down to the ground as quick as he can to get the next ride up. And the glider goes around. Well, I'm watching this Stearman, and I thought to myself, that is awesome. And my dad looks at me and says, "Do you want to go up in that?" I said, that would be awesome. So he goes over to the pilot, gives him some cash.
Slips him a 20.
And there I am donning my leather helmet and goggles
Wow.
at 12 years old. And that's when I became a pilot, because we went up in that Stearman, and I'm 62 years old. I haven't come down.
Never looked. Never
Yeah,
looked
that
back.
was it. I knew this is where I needed to be.
Did you ever get to fly a plane like that?
No, I've had a couple more opportunities to have the privilege of being in one, but I never
Yeah.
piloted it myself.
Yeah. Could you rent? Is that a thing? Could you rent one of those?
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
They're far and few between,
Yeah.
and it's understandable that they typically don't belong to flight clubs like you would rent a Cessna.
Yeah. They're just rare,
Right?
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Cool. Because were Cessnas what you trained on?
yeah. Cessnas and Pipers.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the two. Beechcraft. Those are the type of airplanes that I flew in my primary career. Uh, but yeah, that's how you get your first couple hundred hours in, and you start training other students. And by the time you get to more sophisticated airplanes, it's just a bigger version of a Cessna and a Piper. They have the
Sure.
Cessna 310, and I'm dating myself on these type of airplanes, but yeah. But that's the progress. You start off small and you go bigger and faster, and
Yeah. And you progress.
exactly.
So for the people listening, what are the steps to become a pilot? Because some people don't realize how extensive it is.
Yeah, and I would be remiss to say I know exactly how it is today as it was
Sure. Of
quite a number of years ago when I started flying. I started
course.
flying in the 80s. So the progress is the basic foundation is still the same. A flight school is similar to medical school or law school, where it's basically you're there to just do that. You don't
Yeah.
go to flight school and get a degree in business or anything else. They are there to teach you how to fly. The nice thing about flight schools is that you can do it simultaneously while either going to college or working. It's typically done at your local airports, and they give you the licenses. But as far as licenses go, you have your private license, commercial, and ATP, which is air transport. And each one allows you to do a restricted amount of things. In between the licenses, you have ratings, which is your instrument rating. You can fly in bad weather, so to speak, low visibility. Multi-engine rating, which means you can fly more than one engine. But these are in between. In other words, you can be a private pilot for one and a commercial pilot. So it's kind of a mix as to how you go past these certificates, ratings, and licenses. Uh, how it's best done today is basically uh, a critic of the market itself. How fast you want to go through, and I'm speaking in terms of civilian training. Military is another whole beast in itself, and I don't want to say far superior, but very different, and in many ways superior, because of the fact that the military owns you as a pilot. So it's uh, more likely that you can do a lot of other things in your uh, uh, civilian training as opposed to military. With the military, you're an officer, and you'll be doing things along those lines. With private training, with non-military training, you go to the airport, you do your thing, and you're right back out. either going to school or running business meetings. Yeah, in the military, you do an hour of flying, and there's I can't give you an exact number, but many hours of briefing around that particular flight, and that's why typically with a military pilot flying 1,000 hours, he's gotten a lot more
Experience.
experience and data received through that military experience, as opposed to someone who flew civilian for 1,000 hours.
Yeah, more casually. So
Exactly.
did you have all of those before you went to college? Or is that what you got? Because I know you went to Embry-Riddle.
Yep.
So that's an aeronautical school, correct?
Yes.
Um,
So that again is a typical university where you can get management or any other degree or training, but they do have a flight school there. So I went with a certain amount of. As a matter of fact, I went to Embry-Riddle with not only my commercial certificate but my instrument and CFR, which is Certified Flight Instructor. So I had done a lot of flying prior to going to college. Again, starting at 16, I was just I couldn't think straight.
getting hours in.
Yeah. So it was all about, flying and
I would assume that's a benefit, but do you think that hindered you that you weren't trained at that, so to speak, college level? Like almost like a rookie mistake type thing or beginner mistakes or
yeah, I
tendencies?
wouldn't call it a mistake in the sense that I was certainly ahead of my peers. So again, when most people are going into college to have 19 and 19 hours, I was 19 and had 250 hours.
Yes, way more.
Yeah, so I was already, looking to be a flight instructor at that point, and yeah. So by the time I got out of college, I had 400 hours of
Seasons, yeah.
yeah. So
And you need 1,500 to do commercial, right? I
so
think
1,500 for an ATP, and again, this is where it gets
things changed over
yeah.
time. Yeah.
But for the commercial certificate,
Yeah.
which is basically that you can be hired as a pilot. So I guess the equivalent would be a commercial driver, not necessarily a truck driver, although truck drivers need a commercial license. Yeah, your commercial certificate, don't hold me to this, but I think it's 250 hours. And again, that just allows you to be in a cockpit and be paid.
Okay, that makes more sense.
With a lot of other things.
Yeah.
ATP, Airline Transport Pilot, that's something more specific where
Okay.
you are specifically flying for commercial operation.
Yeah, that's what I just assumed.
And your captain. Yeah. So again, those terms kind of get mixed up.
Yeah.
And they're always, I say the FAA, who's the governing body as to what it takes to do what. And they're the ones who will decide what constitutes time towards a commercial rating or an instrument or ATP. So you can do simulator training, and that counts as flight hours, but you can't have 1,500 hours in a simulator. But where that line is, they
That's up to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you grew up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe the change or maybe the culture change going from New York to college in Florida?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. The culture change was really my primary training, which was done at small airports. My uncle, who gave me a lot of flight training, these were all great experiences. So when you go to an institution, a college, a university, and they have a flight department, you find yourself pigeonholed into you will do it like this. So I'll give you a perfect example. At Embry-Riddle, you couldn't have any more than a 15 knot crosswind, which is about a little less than 20 miles an hour across the runway. If so, you couldn't fly. You'll be another day where you'll do that training, but if the winds are coming across, if you have private instruction, the instructor, your uncle, is more apt to say, let's see how dicey things get.
Discretion. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about Embry-Riddle is very safe. They have a safety record that's tremendous. And the amount of student pilots they put through is critical and exceptional with how safe their record is. With my uncle, it was you and me, Uncle Bob.
Yeah. less students. So he had a high success rate.
Yeah, exactly.
With a couple of students, right?
Yeah. Soft field, you want to learn how to to land on grass or take off on grass.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that? there's airfields or I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah.
there's grass airfields, and
Yeah.
it's usually some farmer who's got it out there, and yeah, so that's something where if you go to an institutional flight school, you'll practice on their
Whatever they
on the
have.
Daytona runway, which is
Yeah.
7,500 feet long on pavement, but you'll just pretend that it's you know 1,200 feet long. Unlike Farmer Joe's grass field out back, we'll
Yeah.
just
Just let it rip.
yeah, exactly.
And then how soon after college did you get hired? I know you started with US Airways, correct?
Yeah, as a
Yep.
commercial, so quite literally, I was 22 when I graduated college. Got a job within a couple of months as a flight instructor and the fixed-based operator, which is an FBO that I got hired at. The reason why I went to this particular organization is because they also had charter flights, jets, and other types of operations going on. So while I was a flight instructor, I had gotten exposed to having the opportunity to get into uh, other type of equipment. And I did that for a year and a half. Then I got on with we called them a commuter at the time, which were turboprop airplanes, 30, 35 passenger. And this is the first time I donned a uniform. And I was Allegheny Airlines at the time.
Okay.
And then within a year or two, I was 25 years old. I got on with US Airways. So that was a very quick pace. My peers in high school and college at 25 years old that were going to be pilots, especially in the military, they had another 3 or 4 years before they got out of the military, and I was already on with the commercial.
Pretty fortunate. How many pilots do you think are in your category that have that much experience going into college?
It was funny because at the time, you're just hanging around with your peer group that's about your age. And at 25, I'm thinking to myself, what's wrong with me? I've already, interviewed with American and, nothing happened there and just waiting for that phone to ring. And you see guys your age in the same position. And, boy, John got on and, I thought I'd be out of here by now. I thought, by 2026 or 27, I'd be, something's really wrong here. But 2020 hindsight, I'm looking back, and that was
Still early.
still early.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Just time moves fast, right?
yeah,
Or it feels
exactly.
fast.
I think if you switch things around and look at it from a sports player point of view, kind of the same experience. You're smacking balls all over the baseball field and crushing it, and you get on with AAA and AA, and now you're 27 years old and you haven't gotten center field for the Yankees yet. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I doing wrong?
Exactly. Yeah. I completely get it. So then how long you start, everyone starts off as a first officer, right?
Yes.
If you're flying commercially.
Yeah. Yeah, which is it makes sense, and I think there's a lot of parallels to draw with something like this, whether you're a surgeon or a part of a legal team. Yeah, you won't take your first case and be
Sure.
out there on the front.
Yeah, of course.
You'll watch the masters for quite some time, and yeah, I mean by that point, like you say, even with flying commercially, you get on with Delta or United, and you already have thousands of hours, perhaps as a captain, just not in their operation. And it's still quite a paradigm shift to go from any operation to flying for Delta. So it's something to watch and experience. Commercial aviation, which is everything is on time. There's a schedule to be involved, and yeah, a lot of decisions to be made. So there's just enough going on that no matter how much experience you bring from the military. I mean, I've flown with guys who were new hires, and he brings to the cockpit, 9 years in the Air Force flying an F-35, and
Crazy.
and you can see the green around his gills. He's like, this is not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't mean that in a, in a mean way or anything.
No, not in the least. I
Yeah.
mean, it makes
Uh,
perfect sense. As I
yeah.
say, just realizing what pilots go through to get to that point. That you should realize sitting in 14A, there is a lot of experience in front of you at the nose of that airplane, and there's I don't want to say that little or no room for error. The reality is, and here's an interesting concept or a fact that I should bring out. And I realized this, it was brought to my attention maybe 10, 15 years ago. NASA does a tremendous amount of data collection. And whether it's just looking at flight recorders or bringing in pilots and just observing them in their own simulators, they do have a tremendous amount of data that they crunch and disperse to the rest of the industry. So here you go. You're sitting down. This is good. Uh, Pilots make a mistake once every 5 minutes. They make a mistake once every 5 minutes. That should be enough for you to say, wait a second, maybe this flying thing isn't so. Yeah, well, the reality is that while mistakes and errors are being made, they're being trapped. The expression is they're being trapped. We have procedures and policies. We're human beings. So every human being is going to make, if you're going to be sitting there and watching television, well, there's really not an opportunity to make mistakes. But in a high workload environment like a cockpit, there's a lot of things going on. And the reality is that we're humans and we're doing things that humans do. And one of the things that humans really do good are make mistakes,
Get distracted.
get distracted. And these are things that what we try to do is mitigate again through policies and procedures that, as an example, you realize that a lot of mistakes or errors are being made below 10,000 feet. So this is the first 5 minutes of flying and the last 15 minutes of flying. It's just a high workload environment. So we have to mitigate a mistake is a sterile cockpit, which means no talking. If it's a checklist, you read the checklist. It's almost like a script, and then go back to just concentrating, just right like that. So this is one of the opportunities that we have to say, okay, so this is an area that we know we're likely to make mistakes. On average, we're making once every 5 minutes. Chances are going to be down low. So this is where we need to have, silent cockpit.
Focus.
We're just concentrating on exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And there's two guys up there. There's never, one pilot operation in commercial aviation. The reason for that being is that having two people doing the same thing is more likely that someone's going to pick up on, you made a mistake, I caught it.
Checks and balances.
There you go.
Yeah. What's like an easy error or mistake you could think of?
Yeah. So frequency change on a typical flight. Let's take, for instance, the last 20 minutes of flying. You go below 10,000 feet. Now, you're saying goodbye to the passengers and all that stuff is done above 10,000 feet because you're not going to be talking below 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is done. We're just concentrating on flying the airplane. At this point, we still have probably in the vicinity of maybe 7 or 8 frequency changes. So you go from one controller to the next. One guy is approach, one guy's final, one guy's tower, one guy's ground, and so on and so forth. And you're constantly changing frequencies. Well, either the controller says to change frequencies and you missed it, or he gives you a frequency and you misunderstood it, or he gives you a frequency and you change the wrong radio and you're still talking. So these are the kind of things that these are mistakes that are trapped. And you can see where in the past, if one guy was doing it, you can go down the rabbit hole. If another guy's not paying attention, hey, it's your leg, I'm not flying this one, so I can just be doing anything I want. The easy job is to fly the airplane because that's what you've been doing. The non-flying pilot, the other guy, and you swap back and forth each time. It's your leg. I'll be the non-flying pilot. I'll handle everything but flying the airplane, and that's how you manage the cockpit. One guy is doing everything but flying the airplane. One pilot is always just flying the airplane. And so you're just flying the airplane, and you hear the other guy struggling with the frequency, and this is where management comes in.
Yeah,
this is where managing the situations, cockpit resource management is a common term used.
And remind me where you started commercially flying.
So it was with an operation out of Allentown, Pennsylvania called Suburban Airlines. And it was a 35 passenger turboprop called a Shorts 330. I don't think they're around anymore. Maybe they're flying some cargo operations down in South America, flying around stuff.
Panama, of course.
Yeah.
And then you went to US Air, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you started off regionally with flights?
So no, my first job at US Air was a flight engineer on a 727, which was
Cool.
their queen of the fleet. And yeah, by the time I got to the line, one of our first flights was out to Denver from Philadelphia. And for the most of my first year, was doing red eyes back and forth from California, San Diego, LA, San Francisco.
Is that rare to start with starting that?
No, no, because as I say, at that point, you know, I have to think about this. It's actually more difficult later on in my career in 2002, right after 9/11. I moved to New York and started doing shuttle flying out of New York. And this is basically you go from New York to Boston and back all day long, or back and forth to Washington. And that was battlefield training. That's tough to get an airplane up that quick and down that quick. It is all high intensity, and it's the service that U.S. Air provided at the time. It was actually a leftover from Eastern Airlines. Trump bought the airlines for a while, and U.S. Air ended up with it. And yes, there I was, almost 20 years into my career, flying very short flights of high intensity, high traffic, high density flying in and out of LaGuardia, Washington, and Boston. So for a period of 5 years, those are the only three airports I knew.
Wow. And
Mhm.
how many would you do in a day?
Four flights a day.
4 flights a day.
Hmm.
And how long are those flights? I don't know how long.
Uh, so it's interesting. Flight itself from wheels up
To wheels
to,
down.
to wheels down and touchdown was probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Sometimes it took an hour and a half to get off the ground in LaGuardia.
Sure. Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, but the reality was it was again most of the times you were in the sterile environment of what things. It's a high
Yeah,
workload
no talking.
to get out of the New York area. I mean, it is busy. It's busy. And same thing going into Washington or Boston. These are high density, high traffic airports. Often weather is a critical factor, and yeah, there's no rest for the weary.
Eventually you did international,
Yes,
right? What
yeah.
would you say your favorite country that you've gone to for work has been?
The interesting way you phrase the question, because often people said, "What was your favorite destination?" And my response is home.
Yeah, I assume that one. Yeah, I know you better than that. Just for work, for other countries.
So yeah, I'd have to say that it would vary because if I did Rome uh, 4 or 5 times last month, my favorite destination would be anything but Rome. Uh, but on average, I would say Rome was probably one of my favorite. Uh, Portugal, Lisbon, and then also, and I have to give a shout out to the Irish because Shannon and Dublin were just two neat places in the world that everybody should have on their bucket list if their bucket list is worth anything. Just neat people, neat place on earth, and yeah, always if there was a Dublin flight on my schedule, I'd always put a smile on my face, saying, "Well, we'll have a good time."
Do the pilots have any say or like a
Yes,
request? They do.
yeah. So you request your schedule, so to speak. You bid your schedule,
Okay,
and the more senior you get, the more likely you are to get your requests.
sure.
And if you're at the bottom of the list, you're more likely to get places that you don't want to go at times you don't want to go.
Yeah, voluntold.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what we use in the fire
Very well
department.
put. There
Yeah,
you
you get
go.
voluntold. You get outbid.
Exactly.
So a lot of pilots today were not flying before TSA and the 9/11 event.
Okay.
Describe how the implementation of like TSA, you know, being founded and being implemented and all that. How did that kind of change? Even if it's just changing how your job went.
Yeah, and big changes it was from living through 9/11. Both the prior to that and after that was probably the biggest paradigm shift in aviation, probably since the advent of the jet engine, where you went to the airport one day and you were flying a Convair 440, and the next day you're out there flying a DC-8. Yeah, so TSA came onto the scene and revamped procedurally how we're going to get people in and out of airports and through the skies. So if you're used to it, if you didn't know anything different, uh, it was certainly doable. It's acceptable. Some of the things that really changed was back in the day. I don't know if you ever saw the old movies where little Johnny and 14A was allowed to go up during the flight and talk to the pilots. So that was taboo after 9/11. But if that's all you knew, that's all
Yeah.
you know.
Or smoking on airplanes.
Smoking on airplanes, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I think there was an Air Florida uh, crash. They had cars in the cargo bin or something like that, and but it brought on the advent of smoking and lit objects anywhere in the airplane is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So
Hazards.
yeah, yeah. So but yet again, that was something where yeah, I mean to this day you still have a no smoking switch in the cockpit that they just changed to no PEDs. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
the same switch. They
Yeah.
just changed the
But
purpose.
it includes vaping and all that stuff, or
That's yes, that's correct.
yeah, gotcha. Huh. But it sounds like a pretty smooth transition. You sound pretty positive with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
implementation.
At the time, I think some of the big things were that yeah, the cockpit door now is considered a barrier. Before it was just hey,
Just a
we're
door.
busy up here. We're just going to close the door. Where now it is a bulletproof barrier, and anytime uh, that door is unlocked, uh, you are exposing the last barrier of defense. So there's a lot of going on behind the scenes. The procedure of pilots leaving the cockpit during the flight. Why would a cockpit member leave the flight during? I'm sorry, cockpit during the flight, and basically I have to use the lavatory. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's a system in play where you're being watched, you're being monitored, and there's lots of things going on. And when you watch it happen, where a pilot gets out, yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and that's again one of those things that you had to get used to. Where if you're so used to just getting up and opening up the door and walking out,
The new
that's
procedure.
yeah.
So I didn't think of this beforehand.
Mhm.
How was the transitionary period? They had to like retrofit all the old planes.
Yes.
Like I didn't really think of that.
Yeah.
How was that?
And that's one thing that the manufacturers and airlines are very much familiar with is retrofitting, whether it's the structure of the airplane, the engines of the airplane, the avionics. Uh, 737s were around, as early as the late 60s. So, and they're still flying today.
Yeah, they're
So it's basically just a constant retrofit, whether you call it a new model or retrofitting the old
yeah
ones.
expensive. I'm sure is right.
And expensive,
The main
yeah,
reason.
and
Yeah.
most of the times it's the airline. I'm sorry, it's the FAA responding to. I don't know if you recall back in the 80s and 90s, the big thing was the noise, amount of noise that jets are making over communities.
I don't remember the '80s very well.
Okay, well,
No, so I apologize. But
but so at one point, you watch films of jets taking off in the 50s and 60s, and it was just this cloud of black smoke pouring out of the back of them. So now you got more environmentally friendly engine design, but then later on, they were just noisy. And
sure,
I use that term loosely because a loud JT7 engine to me is music. I don't know how anybody can consider that noise,
yeah,
but all right, so
it's like
it
race
shakes.
cars.
It's
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Some people love it.
Yeah.
Some people hate it. Um,
So yeah, so all of a sudden back in the the 80s, they started putting these canisters on and mufflers to quiet the noise down
yeah,
and procedures to get the airplane higher so it's more quiet.
sure. So you've been all over the world more than once.
Mhm.
Is there any country you would still like to see?
Yeah, so let's go back to Rome. I like Rome.
Sure.
Always a neat place to see. There's so much history there, and I'm somewhat of a history buff. I like learning about where humanities has come and where it's brought us. Uh, yeah, I mean, so if you said, look, you got to do two more flights and then really just wrap it up, I'd say, all right, let's do Rome and Dublin.
Okay, so two places you've already been.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, so thinking about the places that I haven't been,
Sure.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, no. So as far as Asia or South America, I haven't been to every airport in every
Of
country,
course.
and
Yeah.
I've actually never been to Australia, and so I can't discount that. Yeah, I'd like to fly there. The reality is, there's a lot of H2O between here and Australia.
Yeah. Is it just boring? Is that
And that's the thing is
yeah.
that once you get there, it's a country that while I wouldn't mind spending the time with the people and with the culture, to do it on a regular basis, where you're going to Australia, Sydney twice or three times a month. Yeah, it's if I see it once or twice, get the experience behind me, I'd say okay, I've seen enough Pacific Ocean to.
Sure. I think it's my last flying question I thought of. Was there a route that was your favorite?
Yeah, so what consider favorite would be uh, challenging to the extent that it kept you busy. That was from Philadelphia to Alaska, and
Okay.
from my own
Cool.
experience, that was because there's a lot of math and thinking going on as you transverse the Rocky Mountains. An airplane is pressurized, and you have to take into account that if an airplane depressurizes during flight, you have to get down to an acceptable altitude, which is typically 10,000 feet or below for people to breathe. So what happens is that if you're at 35,000 feet and pop goes the cabin, and you see the cabin altitude racing up, you're losing air. Masks come down for the passengers, and you put these masks on, but the oxygen with these masks don't last forever. As a matter of fact, 13 minutes is about what you're going to have. So you've got 13 minutes to get down to 10,000 feet. Well, pretty much everywhere in the world, that's not much of an issue. You're going down quick, but you'll be in breathable air within 4, 5, 6 minutes. Unless you're over the Rockies, where some of these Rocky Mountains are uh, 15, 17,000 feet, can't get down to 10. So you have to know what point to shoot for. So you have these escape paths designed during flights. So you're constantly knowing where you're at. And it's not a matter of just going straight down. It's a matter of, no, we have to, make a right turn and go here, and then go there on our way down to 10,000 feet. So
Yeah.
you're always planning. So there's really no time to sit back and say, okay, what's for dinner? Yeah, it's always that you are right here, and you get to a certain point, and then you say, okay, we're no longer going there anymore because now there's that mountaintop. Now we'll have to go left instead of right, and then
Pretty cool.
so yeah, it was exciting. It was enjoyable only because it was a constant challenge throughout the flight.
Yeah. How long did you do those flights? Was it often?
Unfortunately, only 2 years.
Yeah.
Uh, we only had the routes in Philadelphia for 2 years, but yeah, yeah, it was enjoyable.
Cool. So it was funny you already brought up the water.
Hmm.
So since flying, you've gotten pretty big into sailing. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Right. Um, so do you think that's like a similar feeling, sailing and flying? Do you get like the same
Well,
enjoyment?
yeah. No, it's different
Yeah.
because uh, a brilliant sailor once told me is as far as when you're on the water, there's two types of experiences. There's one where you're on a motorboat, and one when you're on a sailboat. And the way he had expressed it was, when you get on a motorboat, you want to go somewhere. When you get on a sailboat, you're already there. And I thought that was a good way of
Wow.
putting it because on a sailboat, it is you and Mother Nature. She'll provide the wind, she'll provide the seas, and you can do your best to harness that energy the best you could. So typically with sailing, you have a little pusher that gets you out of the river or
Yeah. Marina.
marina that you're in.
Yeah.
But then once you get out there, you turn the motor off and sails kick in, and then you realize that you're on Mother Nature's
At the
back,
mercy.
and
Yeah.
you're just doing your best to to harness what you can with I mean, it's still a boat. It's still designed to do that. But yeah, I have never. I've been up in a glider a few times, and I would think it's the same experience as that, where it's not necessarily quiet. Sailing is somewhat noisy, but certainly not as noisy as a motorboat. But certainly a different experience. Now, since then, my wife has talked me out of sailing. I always enjoyed it, but she didn't like the fact that it was tipping her wine glass. So it's very hard to find the right wind and go in the right direction where the wine isn't spilling. Uh, so yeah, we've switched over to getting a motorboat and going places, but there's a fondness in my heart for sailing and anyone who enjoys that aspect of being on the
You should offer it a lid. No,
water.
I'm just kidding. Is there schools for sailing? Because I don't really know much about it. Did you have to go to school for it,
Yes.
or
Yeah. So there's unlike aviation, where it's very strict as
yeah,
to who flies an airplane and who doesn't. You should
yeah,
get
go to school for it?
go to school for it, but that's not to say that you must.
Okay,
Um, yeah, and there's a saying that goes in aviation that ties into the seas, because there's a lot of crossovers between aviation
I was going to ask you
and
with winds.
maritime. One of them is that aviation is not inherently dangerous, but more so than the sea, it is very unforgiving of incompetence, neglect, or stupidity. And I think that's why the FAA was quickly formed, to put all these barriers up that no, you will not take somebody unwilling or unknowing your lack of experience and get them in an airplane. Uh, Not so in a sailboat. You can get
Yeah,
on with
you
anybody,
can
and
forget about those people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, so unfortunately, there's a laundry list of people who've been lost at sea, and while some of them are, well, all of them are unfortunate. Sadly, way too many was just sheer incompetence or stupidity.
yeah. So there is a fair amount of crossover with your knowledge from flying to sailing.
Yes, especially with sailing, because basically a sail is a wing. It's just a wing in a uh, vertical position
Sure.
instead of a horizontal, and you're flying that sail like you're flying the wing of an airplane. And yeah, so the crossover is very strong. And I think procedurally, I took my sailing life very much like I did my professional airline life. I restricted myself to 15 knots. Any more than 15 knots, I wasn't going to go sailing. And when I did, it was with someone who had a vast amount of experience on the water with
Yeah.
high winds. One of the first times, as a matter of fact, one of my instructors, I was in my 40s at the time when I started sailing, and my instructor was 17 years old, but he had been sailing all his life. And the one day I go to my boat, and he's inside, and he says, "You going out?" I says, I wouldn't go out in this. I think the winds were maybe 25, 30 knots. And he says, "Yeah, let's go out. We'll take it for a spin."
Yeah.
And I enjoy that, because he was a 17-year-old kid, cocksure, and he cut that sailboat right through the water, and in very exciting times. And I'm thinking to myself, I would never do this.
Yeah. Uncle Bob incarnate, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, if you were to sail to one place, could you think of one?
Wow. Yeah, so I'd probably I would enjoy, and I've talked to enough people who have and do it consistently. Is off the east coast of Florida to the Caribbean. It's a nice ride. It's very friendly waters, so to speak. And much past that, I've also spoken to a number of people who've done the same thing, just going through the Greek islands. And I think I would like to do that more, but I think where it's more of a day sailing back and forth in the Caribbean, it's more of a probably a month or so getting around some of the islands and off the Mediterranean there.
For the Mediterranean, would you just fly there and then rent a boat?
Yes.
Because you wouldn't be sailing to Greece,
Yes,
would you?
and I know people who do
Probably
that.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Pretty
that's,
wild.
as I say, I think they're a different breed than I am. I love the water, I love the air. I just don't like spending more
Yeah.
than a month doing it
That's a
at the
long
same
time.
time.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So describe being the youngest of four. What's your perspective?
Yeah, that's switching gears all of
It
a
is.
sudden.
I'm gonna hit you.
That's awesome.
Left field's gonna come more than once.
It has its I was gonna say it has its advantages and its drawbacks. I've always admired the oldest in the family. I think historically, or data speaking, the oldest in the family are typically the presidents, the airline pilots, the military commanders. Those are people I admire, and I always wanted to be like that. I think they were forced into similar roles at the age of 3 when their little brother came along. But when I was 3, I had uh, 2 older brothers and an older sister as my commanders.
Yeah.
Don't do this and don't tell mom that.
Yeah.
So yeah, mostly advantages because my 2 brothers and sister, they were all of them were great mentors, and spent my whole life wishing I could be more like them. And anything I did, they fully supported me, and that was a big part. So I would say, all in all, the small disadvantages of being younger uh, were far outweighed by the advantages of having
The
good
benefits.
older brother and sister.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
does that compare? Because now you're a father to 4.
hmm
How does that compare? Do you think? Would you be a different father if you were the
Yeah, that's I
firstborn?
never really thought of that. You know what I do accept as my own and my all my children now are in their 30s and 40s. But my wife always criticized me that with having 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, I fathered my boys far different than my girls. My girls, I let them get away with murder, and my boys, I wouldn't let them get away with stepping a half a foot out of bounds. So, and jokingly, my wife always said, you would never let your daughters get away with that. And I thought to myself, uh, no, that's not true. I would let them get away with
Yeah.
that. I wouldn't let my boys get away with that.
Sure. That was a question I had for you. What were some of the difficulties you faced as a young pilot with 4 kids?
Yeah, that was tough. That was a career decision. It really wasn't. It was part passionate, but I knew getting on with the airlines. I'd be working a lot of Christmases, which I did, a lot of holidays, a lot of football games, and scraped knees and bullies at school. That I just wasn't within 2,000 miles. It wasn't like, okay, we'll talk about it when I get home tonight. I went to bed knowing that it would be 2 or 3 days before I can,
See them again. Yeah.
see them or get a hold of the situation. So that was a career decision that, again, surrounded by strong women my whole life. My wife was probably the strongest woman I've known to be all but a single parent of 4 children while I'm out there flying around the world. So yeah, I owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to her and admire her for the way that she uh, helped raise the 4 kids. Uh, she never really raised them in the sense of, well, dad's going to be home at 5, and when I tell him this, I mean, she knew it was he was going to straighten the situation out,
Yeah. Be
or
captain at home.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly right.
Right.
Yeah, she had the hard job. I had the fun part of being captain abroad.
Yeah. Um, so one question I thought of was how impactful was it having both a brother and a sister? Because just like if you had kids, if you had all boys, I
hmm
feel like that'd be different. How do you think that kind of impacted being a parent or also being a sibling?
Yeah, and again, feeding off of them as the younger sibling, where by the time I had kids, I can reflect on their experiences, and then again looking up to them and on their experiences, and I had the estrogen point of view and the testosterone point of view.
Sure, the balance.
Exactly, and that was again incredibly fortunate because I had seen the way they had they were raising their kids, and you know we remain tight as a family. So I've just considered myself fortunate in the sense that not only do I have boys and girls, but I have brothers and sisters, and that's you get a unique perspective of how to handle things, and I think that brings a lot of parts of my life together where you're handling a situation and realize there's more than one way to handle this, and sometimes it's just strength and brawn that
Yeah,
gets the point home, and
perseveres.
other
Yeah.
times it's just you got to have that light touch.
Yeah. Because
So
I only have a sister. So
okay,
like thankfully I've got cousins and stuff, but it's hard to imagine if I had an older brother or younger brother. how that could
Right.
have changed things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then same for her. She didn't have someone that she can go shopping with, or
Yeah. Yeah.
I reluctantly went, but
Right. Right.
Charlotte Roos was like me flying to LaGuardia. It
Yeah.
was like, it was like pulling teeth. Um, how would you describe being a grandfather?
Yeah, so that's the best. Out of all the experiences I've had, you realize that this is a badge that you've earned, you deserve. Um, Jokingly, I tell my kids that the ones that have kids of their own, I tell them that if I knew that grandkids were this much fun, I would have had them instead of you. So it's so great because and so my oldest grandson is 14 and my youngest is slightly more than 14 days old. He's probably about a month right now. But it's just so enjoyable and it redefines your life. When you're young, you're 12 years old and you think you know who you are and what you want to do, and maybe you do and maybe you don't. Maybe you're 25 years old and you do and you don't know what you want to do. But as you get older, you've already made these decisions in your life that this is who I am, this is where I am, and this is how it's going to be. And you accept that, and you play out the rest of the hand, and then you become a grandfather, and then you realize that this is a new deck. This is a brand new way of I'm going to enjoy this because I don't have to change the diaper, and I don't have to smack them back in line. I can love them to pieces, get the best part of everything.
You rent them,
Yeah.
and then you give them back, right? I say that I've got nieces and nephews,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
that's the best part.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
You put the miles on them, and then you don't have to deal with the tire changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have 4 kids.
Mhm.
I don't even know the number of grandkids. What's the updated number?
So right now we're at I'll have to do the math here because we've got 2 and 2 and so that's it. We've got 4.
So 4 right now.
Right.
Describe the importance of education just between your own life, teaching 4 young kids of your own, and now you have 4 grandkids as well.
That's such a fascinating question because when you take the word education and run with it, it's just going to be that
Broad.
institution that you go to. But it is broad. I mean, education is probably so critical and so underestimated. You don't realize how much and everything that you say that you affect people. And anytime you affect someone, anytime you say something, it affects someone. Education has taken place. So you'll either look at a situation and say, I'll never say that or I'll never do that. And you're educating yourself. When it comes to parenting, uh, you don't have this book. There was no course to pass to say, okay, I'll be a good parent now. You realize that although you were thinking that you were doing good for the child as a parent, uh, every time you fly off the handle, every time you say something out of anger or you realize that you are the chief educator at the moment for this child, and that's huge. As a grandfather, it's the same thing. They're looking at you as probably one of the highest sources of what's right and wrong. Uh, I'll always look at my children in front of their kids, and I outrank you. So I'm giving the kid a cookie.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
But again, there's a tremendous responsibility in that
It
because as a
is.
parent, no, you already had 4, and that's you're 4 cookies that is, and there you are as grandfather. Okay, so maybe that's now's not the time to pull the grandfather card.
So now looking back, what advice would you give to a father to be or a young father of, a month old?
Uh, yeah. So looking back at young parents in general, and looking back at how I was, uh, my advice would be enjoy it because as a young parent, you really do want your child to be exceptional. And it's very easy to convince yourself that they are. And in reality, they're quite normal. And they're going to be making a lot of mistakes. They're going to be doing a lot of things that don't necessarily fit into your equation of what the perfect human being should be. Uh, you worry about how good of a parent you're going to be. You worry about, you do a lot of, I worried a lot. because you know that if things go off the rail anywhere along the line, you're probably the reason why you did something or did not do something. I've come to realize that if I had the chance to do it again, I'd spend less time worrying. You do your best. You did your best, and enjoy the process. I look at the parents who truly enjoy the times with their kids. Parents who are sitting on the sideline and or on the foul line, and your kid makes a mistake, and some of these parents get all upset and start screaming at the kid for not performing like
Yeah, like they're professional.
yeah. And one of the biggest lessons I learned as I'm watching my daughter play baseball, softball, 12 years old or something like that, and parents are getting heated, and the kids are trying to find the difference between what's fun and what's something that's going to please their parents. And I remember seeing this one guy on the sideline. He just sat and watched his daughter. And at the end of the game, she came up and he looked at her and said, "Did you have fun?" And I'm thinking to myself, he's onto something.
He's got it.
He's got it. And yeah, and that's something that not only did I take away from watching them play sports, but just about anything that they did. Did you have fun? It wasn't a big, this isn't all about you becoming a great person, somebody that I always wanted to be, and someone that you will be. No, they're experiencing life for the first time, like you are. And hey, if we got one shot at this, let's agree that we should all have some fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who would you say, if you could only pick one, who would you say your hero is? Or one of your heroes, at least?
My wife. Yeah, yeah, I look up to her the most. Everything that she is, everything that she was, the fact that I probably couldn't put up with me, but she's probably the one of the few people on the planet that does. Everything that she has done in her past, and she's got quite a laundry list of all of her accomplishments. She's a stage 4 cancer patient and fighting it like something that would make Mike Tyson shiver. Yeah, she's a fighter, and anyone who knows her probably sees her as a very loving and caring person. So that's pretty impressive to be a loving and caring person who's a fierce fighter.
Of course. Um, if you were to teach yourself, your younger self, one thing, what do you think that would be? It's a heavy question.
Yeah, I can very easily go back to my 12-year-old self because I revisit him a lot.
Sure. Okay. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so as I say, I've made a lot of promises that I've kept
Cool.
to myself. One of them, is being an airline pilot. And many kids have experienced that sensation and want to go through with it. And, um, so as a 12-year-old, I would say spend more time thinking about doing things for other people. Most of it is, I guess, this is human nature. It's part of survival that you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anybody else. Uh, but once you get done to the point where you're taking care of yourself, it's not all about you. Really, one of the reasons why I believe we're put here is to help each other. And really the difference that you make. So many times in my life that I just said something or did something and just thought, well, this is just what I was doing. And someone comes up and tells me how much I affected somebody. They did something, or they heard me say that, or they saw me do that, and it changed their perspective on something. And you realize, yeah, I'm affecting everybody with every word I say, with every smile I give to someone, or every kind gesture that I give. That it's this is your way of putting a little bit of good into the world. It's like adding some seeds onto an opportunity to grow something, and that's what we're here for. So, to my 12-year-old, I would say, yeah, let's spend more time making an effort to make other people's life a little easier, a little, a little kinder,
Yeah.
forgive a little easier.
Active service.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Um, you danced around it. Is there a dream that you've outgrown?
No, no. My father always used to say, "May you May all your dreams come true except for one. So life is good if you dream about something and you put the hard work into it, and you have your pitfalls and your highlights, but in the end you completed your goal. That's great. Uh, what should scare you is that if you're at a point where you say there's nothing left.
You run out of
I've
goals.
done it all. You're out of goals. You're out of dreams. Yeah, I'm 62 years young, and I've got a ton of dreaming to do. That some things I'm wrapping up, other things I'm just starting, and other things that are just way off there, but that I know I'll get to them someday.
What's one that you're looking forward to?
So the one I'm experiencing right now, speaking of helping other people, is making online content for those living with dementia and the families that are with them, the caregivers that are taking care of them. It affects a lot of people, and it's something that, at least for the foreseeable future, and I say foreseeable, let's say for the next 5 years, uh, people have to deal with in the reality that it's something that gets progressively worse for a human being and more difficult to deal with. And there's not a whole lot of information. People will put a lot of thought and effort into cancer, into heart disease, and uh, there's a lot of support out there. I don't think there's a whole lot of support for people dealing with mental illness. I think it's very much misunderstood. And one of the more obvious uh, areas are those living with dementia, in the sense that it's a little bit difficult to detect at first and very frustrating. But it would be kind of like a teacher starting off with a fifth grader, and the next year you're dealing with a fourth grader. Following
Yeah,
year, you're dealing with,
regressing.
so you're losing it. You're losing each bit, and that's very difficult for the person who's experiencing it, living with it, both as the patient and as the caregiver, as the family member,
Mhm.
as those from the sidelines watching, saying, what can I do? And this is where I'm trying to use this unique thing that this next generation, the Gen Zs and the uh, uh, Gen X has given us, is this massive opportunity to bring this world together and put a lot of information in one place. And that's what I'm doing. I'm spending my spare time getting together with the Montessori school of training and other types of disciplines to get information that I think really people can definitely benefit from.
Yeah, it'd be a big gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what would you say is the greatest gift you've ever received?
Boy, if I said one, I'd have to uh, say that, a close second. Now,
Sure.
I've been blessed with so many gifts that I spend most of my daily life on my knees, thanking the Lord for the gifts I've been given, and they keep coming. And whether you call it miracles or gifts or just a smiling face, somebody smiling at you, you got to stop and say, that person smiled at me. That's a gift. So is a uh, my daughter's first word, uh, uh, my first solo. Uh, just so many things in life that I can't say which was better than the other. You just have to sit back and look at your life and go, "Wow, what a gift!"
Pretty sweet, right? So I think about these questions, what I'm going to ask, who I'm going to ask them to. And I thought of that question to myself earlier today.
Mm,
Most people, just on a whim, they're going to say a gift, it could have been the pair of shoes when they were 12. They
mhm.
think of something physical, right? Um, just like you, I really thought about if I could just articulate one thing, it'd be the time with my dad, or the amount of time he invested in me,
Mm, mhm.
between playing sports growing up, drive me all around,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, to play baseball, and just the time that we spent together.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Most people would think of a physical gift, right?
Yes, yeah,
It's just so natural to just
sure. Something tangible.
think of something tangible. Yeah, but I thought of time as well
Yes,
was the thing that I thought of.
yes. I think you nailed it, Thomas. I think that's it. What's probably the greatest gift? Time.
Yeah, the opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity time is a gift, and what you do with it, and how you can manage it, how you can accumulate it. Uh, Discussing strength for a second, there's kind of like strength. You know, there's spiritual strength, there's physical strength, there's mental strength, and probably one of the worst things that you can find yourself in a position of is where you could have used more physical strength to get through this moment, but you didn't. You didn't put the time in. Maybe you should have. Maybe you wasted your time on something else. And we talk about balance, right? So there's one part of your life where you're really strong, and another parts of your life where maybe you're not so strong. Maybe you didn't put the time and effort into being mentally strong. We're all going to be dealing with a card handed to us that we really didn't want to even think about, a loss of a child, a loss of a parent. And these are times where you're going to have to draw on your spiritual strength, your mental strength, maybe not so much physical, uh, but these are times in your life where you have those buckets,
Fortitude.
and those are the moments of strength that you need to draw on. And I think I pity the person who you know disregarded themselves for so long that they can't get out of bed. Now, it's one thing if that you're afflicted with something, that's one thing, but just to ignore yourself when you had the opportunity to just take a walk every day. There's so many different things that your life will benefit from by just getting off the couch, turning off the television, and walk up and down the driveway.
Yeah, to prosper.
And that's putting strength into your physical strength bucket for that someday when you need to get to the end of the driveway. It's there for you.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Um, Time's the only thing that we can spend, but we can't make more of.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember when I read that
Yeah.
or who I heard it from. Um, so I'd cool question before we pivot. What is one attribute from your father you wish you had more of?
My father, who passed away 17 years ago, great man. Um, we didn't see eye to eye only because he was an adult that I knew my whole life, and I was a child, and I acted like a child when I was, and I needed to get smacked when I needed to get smacked. So there was those times where I thought, I was the one changing, but he didn't understand my world. And I look back at the grace he was given, that he showed to me, where he accepted me as a 5-year-old kid, as a 12-year-old kid, as a 15-year-old brat, and as a pilot getting his fourth stripe as a captain, and being there the whole time. He was always there for me. I wish I had more time with my own kids. He put his time into me, and my career just pulled that away for me. Maybe just a little too much. I wish I was there a little bit more for the Christmases, a little bit more for the scraped knees. Uh, he made sure he was a simple man, and he made sure that life was simple enough around me that I could grow. Uh, and never did he express disappointment more than just a couple of minutes. He always looked at the action that he was disappointed in, and never me. And that's something that, yeah, I wish I would have learned far much earlier, because I always criticized the sinner and not the sin.
Sure. Yeah. Um, but that's just a testament of time too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Just takes time to learn that, to
Yeah.
grow. Um, so tell me about your love for art. I know you're a talented painter
Mhm.
and you're a musician. Tell me more about your love for those.
Yeah. So it's neat that you group them together, because I always consider them two separate worlds, but they're very much intertwined. I've been a musician all my life by means of picking up drumsticks, playing the guitar, and that's something that you just take with you your whole life. And painting and putting things on a 2-dimensional piece is still the same experience, in the sense that it's an expression of the moment that you have. Someone asked an artist, well, how long did it take you to paint that picture? You would expect an answer like, 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. And a very wise answer was, it took me my whole life, because I started that painting because I was inspired at the age of 45, because it took 45 years of inspiration to approach that canvas or to
Yeah.
that mound of clay. And I, with every chisel or with every stroke of the brush, uh, brought with it 45 years of experience, good, bad, and whatnot. And that's exactly what a painter does when he or she approaches canvas or an object to make art out of it, is they are bringing out this inner feeling and expressing it in the form of visual art. Music is the same experience, only with sound. Uh, I love both, and they're very much a part of me. What I would say is unique about music is that, as far as the instrument itself, uh, there is a relationship that you have with the instrument, with a brush. For an artist, it's just this brush or that brush, and when that one isn't working as much anymore, you just grab
Yeah.
another
It's
one.
not alive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The instrument is, for most male instruments, I would say it's your girlfriend. It is not a piano; it is that piano. It is something that you have grown. I think if you see a lot of uh, legends, you go from Willie Nelson or to Stevie Ray Vaughan. They're in front of tens of thousands of people, and they have the most high end equipment available to them, and they're playing the guitar that they had when they were 16 years old, and it looks it. So what's up with that? It is because they have a connection, and they can express uh, their emotions best through that one person. It is the best through that one instrument. So yeah, I have my Ludwig drums that I've had. I played on hundreds of other sets, and I still have the one that I have that's my favorite. And playing the guitar, I still have my Taylor acoustic, and again, I'll play on other guitars, but when I put my Taylor in my hands, I know this is my girl.
You could tell. Yeah. Were you formally trained or did you learn on your own?
No, so formally trained as a percussionist,
Okay.
uh,
Cool.
and then my older brother, he was practicing lead guitar, and he needed someone on rhythm guitar. So he said, "Here, just do this or do that, and I'm going to do my thing over here."
Yeah. Necessity.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So
Where
yeah,
did you learn? You said percussion,
yeah.
drums.
So again, it
Yeah.
was a local studio,
Cool.
in Farmdale growing up, and my mom, I wanted to play the drums, and off to drum school I went, and there was a passion for it, so that got me off on a good foundation. So I can read music like I can decipher music. I don't read it fluently, but I was inspired by many uh, rock and roll legends who I basically follow their lead, so to speak, in the sense that no, they Jimi Hendrix didn't read music, Eric Clapton didn't read music. These are guys who just they
Naturals.
they just found the instrument was breathing through them,
Yeah.
and
Pretty neat.
built on that.
Do you have a favorite instrument?
Uh, out of the two that I play, the instrument and the drums and the guitar, uh, no, I would say I my soul is a drummer. But I always joke saying that drummers have no friends because we're loud and
Yeah.
we take up a lot of room. Where a guitarist, yeah, two or three friends in a living room on a Friday evening, and break out the guitar, and so yeah, there's moments where the guitar is my favorite instrument, and but I would say, just as a musician, but I'd love to sit down and again talk about dreams, play the piano. Probably something that I'll start like around 70, 75, and see how far I go with it.
Cool. Um, so were you ever in a band?
Yes. Yeah. So everything from studio band to um, wedding band, club bands.
You did that in addition to flying, just when you could?
So yeah, this was early high school, and yeah, so actually that got the funds to go to the airport on the weekend and take flight lessons.
Cool, go flying.
So yeah, going to college during the day, playing the clubs at night, and weddings on the weekend, and then taking the cash and learning how to fly an airplane.
Cool.
Yeah. So as I say, it was all these dreams that I have. I recall one time we were doing pretty well as a band, and our manager had gotten a hold of somebody from the recording studio, and he wanted to talk to me about how serious I was about what kind of commitment I was going to put into music. And I had said a little bit about my life. I'm taking flight lessons, and I want to go to college, and these other things. He says, "Well, what would it take for you to stop all that and follow your music career before we put our time and effort into?" And quite arrogantly, as I would expect a 17-year-old to say at the time, is at the time $70,000 was probably the equivalent today of about 200,000. And I had said, yeah, 70,000, to start, just to put a feeler out there, see if he bites or not. He smiled and said, "Go to college."
He didn't bite, did he?
Wrong answer.
Damn, man, had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny because here he was dealing with drummers and somebody that I wanted to be, but if it wasn't going to be the easy way, I wasn't going to bite.
Rather not.
But it's kind of like baseball team owners saying, what would it take to come over here? If he gives you an arrogant answer, and
hit third for the Yankees. Yeah, get declined. So a birdie told me you have a fun story about playing the drums, but I wasn't told what story, so I don't know if
fun story about playing the drums. Well, I mean, so there's quite a number of cameras on us right now and microphones.
Sure.
So there's a lot of fun stories.
So those are after.
One of the first ones that come to mind is so as a drummer, as a band member, you're getting a lot of attention. So if you're at the club, there's a lot of girls out there, and sometimes you'll come off stage and go approach somebody, and they'll come up to you on sometimes. One common denominator that I noticed is that if a girl ever came up on stage and said, "Hey, I know how to play the drums," that was you're trying to start something here. So there we were at a friend's house. It was just a local graduation party at the time. I was 17, and this girl comes up, blonde hair, gorgeous eyes, and she says, "Hey, I know how to play the drums." Yeah. What's your name? She says, "Carol. What's your name?" And yes, I've been married to her for 43 years, and that's a neat part of that's a neat story that I like to think back on, was that it was drums that brought her to me. It was music that brought us together, and we've been dancing ever since.
Cool. And motorboat keeps her along too. Not a sailboat.
I changed the sailboat for the motorboat. She's happy. Yeah,
keeps her around. So I had something for you.
All right.
I'm giving one to every guest. Do you know who Jason Isbell is?
I can't say
Isbell. He's a musician. He's a singer.
Okay.
He did a cool collaboration with Field Notes.
Okay.
So I'm giving every guest Field Notes.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what I've been using for my notebooks.
Mm-hmm.
They're really cool. They fit in your pocket.
I love it.
That's a cool one. It's got a guitar on it. So I thought of you.
Yes. And these are one of the things that I wish, talking about all the things that if I could be slightly more organized, it would be neat to have, and I'm fairly good with the phone as far as putting things down, but I'm still old school. So I'm going to use this because all too often it's like, I got to jot this down.
Mm-hmm.
And with my memory, it's just, boy, I would love to have a notepad of all the things that I didn't jot down and look back on my life.
Hopefully this is one of them.
This is 4,000 pages of things that I forgot that I wanted to write down.
They're pretty cool. That one fits in your pocket.
Excellent.
I'm trying to be better at writing down.
Yes.
Just like you said, because I'll forget something or I'll put it in my phone. And then you got 5,000 notes in your phone and half of them are just garbage. So this way you can cross it off. You can check it off.
And it looks like a Fender Telecaster in the background there. I like it.
So it's pretty cool. He's a cool musician. I know a couple of his songs, but he collaborated with Field Notes. So I thought of you. So I've got a couple questions for you. If you could name one lesson, what lesson taught you patience? Was there one experience?
Well, I can't say, again, talk about a journey and what step in that journey. I mean, so there's, do I consider myself a patient person? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I only wish that I could be far more patient than I am. Uh, and it's a matter of setting standards for yourself. So if you meet one standard as far as patience, you tend to raise that standard. Say, okay, well, now that I'm that patient, I can go to the next step.
Push it.
So yeah, I can't say any particular point where I would say it just has to be with age. Again, when you're young, you're just impatient, and it's so bizarre because when you're young, that's when you have the most amount of time, right?
Yep.
So you can afford to be a lot more patient with things. And as you get older, you think to yourself, "Hey, I don't have a lot of time."
Yeah. Youth is wasted on the young. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I would say it's a journey that again, it's one of those things where no, I could definitely be more patient. It's a challenge, but what's probably most disturbing is when I see when someone exhibits, especially myself, but when you see something that's impatient, think to yourself, for what? It never makes sense. It never makes sense. So yeah, not one moment that I can point.
So it's ironic you mentioned being young and not being patient. If you could be one age forever, how old would you be?
Wow.
Could be today, could have been that 12, could be the 17-year-old wanting
Yeah.
to
And
play
and the
drums.
commitment that you're asking is that okay, so well I loved being 12 and I loved being 18. Loved being 35, loved being because if I'm stuck at 35, I'd never have grandkids. And so it's got to be something past, having a grandkid. Um, but then forever is such a unique way of framing something. Boy, uh,
Well, you've already had a wise answer because you've kind of hinted that it's only getting better.
yeah,
Because
yes.
before grandkids,
All right, so there's
you
my
wouldn't
answer.
you wouldn't want that.
It's an
It's
age
pretty.
that I haven't experienced just yet
I mean, it's
because
pretty poetic.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
poetry.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm looking too far into it, but I thought it was a cool.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a
No, I
natural answer.
so the more I think about it, it's I'll have to get back to you because I haven't
Yeah,
hit that perfect age where it's say, okay, this is where it's at
sure.
right
That's where I
here.
got to pause.
Yeah, yeah.
So final question. I ask everyone the same question.
Okay.
What is a mistake that you have not wasted?
What's a mistake that I have not wasted?
So, best lesson my dad's ever told me was to never waste a mistake. So
Yes,
I'm trying to
excellent.
provoke that thought more and more.
Yeah,
Is there one you
yeah,
have?
and yeah. As far as mistakes in general, and this is one thing that is often we talked about this a little bit, in the cockpit. But pilots don't make mistakes. We do, uh, and it's often said that a bad experience produces better judgment. And that's a bad experience is often fostered by making a mistake. Um, and I often admired, I think it was Thomas Edison that said he didn't,
Yep. Find 10,000 ways to fail. I
right,
found 10,000 ways it didn't work.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, to say that one thing's for sure about mistakes is that you own it, right? No one's going to say, yeah, I'll pick that one up for you. So yeah, it is yours to, and I love your father's expression where it's don't waste a mistake. You made it, and it's there. It was given to you, so that you're going to make the best out of it. You're going to make a better experience out of it. You're going to become a better person because of it. So again, I think it's more cumulative. Was there a mistake that? What was the question again? That
Yeah. Could you name just one
one.
mistake that you haven't wasted? It could be someone else's mistake. That's the poetry of the quote. It's never waste a mistake. It doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool. It's always been thought provoking ever since you sold it to me.
That so it just reversed that in the sense that it was a mistake that was made that I didn't take advantage of. That I thought.
That you haven't wasted. That you've taken advantage to learn from.
Yeah, and as I say, I
It's a tough one.
it really is. I mean, that's something that you're going to be in the shower someday thinking, well, no. I mean, as I say, I hate making mistakes. and mistakes come in all different flavors. In the sense that there's designed mistakes like research or experimenting,
Mhm.
where you kind of have an idea of forcing things. One thing that there's a contrast, and I think that's one of the things that brings me uh, to art, whether it's music or painting, is that in the cockpit everything is procedure and everything is, uh, you know, there is no let's try this or let's this is something we haven't done before. No, everything you've been exposed to as many things as possible that you can categorize this particular situation and you will follow, because of empirical knowledge of this is the best way to get through this. Unlike music and art, where you go to a canvas or pick up a guitar and say, "What should I do?" It is not that restricted. You
Yeah.
want to make mistakes.
Bob Ross, right?
Yes, there you go.
What do
Yeah,
you
just
what do you
just
say?
start.
There's no mistakes. There's only what do you say? Like happy clouds or
You have
something. He just like makes it a tree or a bush.
Yeah.
So
And that's exactly right. So this is perhaps both sides of the brain, where one side is so analytical and the
yeah,
other is just like let's give it a shot.
abstract.
So yeah, but getting back to the mistake, where there are abstract mistakes, there are temporal mistakes. Uh, the ones that as I say, I hate them. I really hate making mistakes. It's part of life that I wish I could be better at accepting the fact that I made the mistake and I'm going to live with it and I'm going to learn from it. And that's exactly what you're going to do. But I just have this inner battle, this voice inside my head saying, "You idiot! Why did you?"
Yeah. Yeah. You just can't waste it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
you can't
opportunity.
waste it. So yeah, it's very profound. It's a neat way of looking back and the opportunity to look forward. That okay, so the next time I make a mistake, I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I've loved it. Love the conversation. I hope we could do it again.
totally awesome. Looking
You're the
forward to it.
best. Thank you.
All the bless, brother. God
Thank you.
bless.